Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Colborn Bell. I'm joined today by the artists Fabiola and Moises. Thank you so much for joining us on the DMINTI Mocha podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Hello, thank you. Yes, glad to be here.
Yeah, I hate to put definitions on artists and speak for you, so I would love for you both to begin to introduce yourselves, your story, and your art practice.
Well, my name is Fabiola Larios. I am from Mexico and I am an AI artist. Well, like AI internet artist. And I come from the art context. I studied visual arts at school and I have a specialty in painting, and now I am creating with AI. It was like a long, a long path. I was always trying to project something over my paintings with a projector, so that wasn't like very common in my school. So like it wasn't like allowed to do that. And then I used to work a lot with digital collage for my paintings, and somehow I realized that I could create art with Photoshop and I could like assemble like images and like do stuff with the computer like to make art, and I didn't know I could do that. And then I started doing glitch, and because I found randomly a glitch artist collective group on Facebook, so I joined and I was just like playing with programs like Avidemux or like uh, Audacity, and then I started being like interested in processing, and eventually I just started like studying like more like a visual digital aesthetic, and I started making video performance and live acts like I am a BJ, but I haven't done that like in 3 years because of the pandemic, and then like yeah, whatever. And I I make installations, and I also make NFTs and video art, and yeah, like little video experimental short films. And yeah, like my context is has always been uh, like the moving image. So that's why I find AI art so refreshing, because you work a lot um, with a bunch of images before you have an output. But I think we can talk more about that after. Moises, do you wanna talk?
Hi, my name is Moises Sanabria, and I was born in Venezuela, uh, but I did most of my like middle school, high school in the U.S. Currently in Miami, and working a lot in the art and technology space um, since since I was very young. I guess just even starting like small YouTube videos or something, and then slowly kind of been learning uh, programming. And I went to a fine art school, but it was a art, architecture, and engineering, and I could kind of jump between classes. Like, I mean, I would finish a course, but then go to the next semester, uh, continue. And so uh, that I kind of work in that space. So I do like front end engineering and doing like website design, and kind of that played into like the net art aspect of it as well. But then slowly been kind of more and more interested in the AI space since Deep Dream came out in 2015, but even more so now. Yeah, like 7 years later. But working a lot in the physical space as well, thinking a lot about contemporary art and how can you experience something in a physical space, and then how does that relate to seeing it in the VR, pre-metaverse, and now post-metaverse, and like all these contexts in which we can experience ideas and creativity.
I love all of that. I think what we can do here is we'll draw a thread just to let everybody know where we're going between just like the beginnings of your practice with internet art, and then into AI, and then into NFTs, and then into more of these exhibits and the live VJing and what it means to bring together with digital art. So I'd love to hear from both of you. What was it really about the internet in the beginning that you wanted to kind of bring and transition your art practice to?
Well, on my side, I would say that I grew with the internet. Like at 11, I got my first computer, and at 12, I had internet like dial-up. So what it reflects in my work, it's always like the digital nostalgia, and like how like pictures started like to evolve with the pass of the years, like because before you had like the webcam picture, and like the analog picture, but you scanned it, and like you had a lot of like different kind of pictures, and like different like resolutions and stuff, and then like how it started like turn around, like with like this like these emo selfies or MySpace selfies that were like, like from like over your head. And yeah, so I like to talk about like how we behave on the internet, work around the self perception, and how technology has been evolving. I love doing these AI interfaces, of websites, or like and with messenger sounds and ICQ and stuff. So it's just like always trying to put together like the things I grew with with on the internet, and then like doing something new.
In my scenario, some things I think about is like just the inspiration from like being viral and like memes, and just like memetics, and like what are these ways in which we're also communicating, and like it scales really quickly, like just meme YouTube videos. Like I remember like Gangnam Style, and just understanding like what kind of creativity was happening, that made people to do these things, and then try to bring that into a like contemporary art context, and like talking about it through many lenses. And at the time, I think Instagram was this place where that wasn't happening, and it's like, okay, let's try to make Instagram like a funner place, more like how I remember Tumblr being. And yeah, like thinking about what are these ideas that could spread and you could share, but still have it's hard. I wonder like what's the difference between a meme and like art object, like, and at what point are those kind of living in the same space? Yeah, so I like to interpret like the internet in that way as well.
It's super interesting. I was of a very similar age getting that first computer and that internet, and it was it was an age of like transitioning from a child to a teenager, to begin to like see the world, to begin to interact with technology and machine, and 20 years later, how that evolution, all of these famous memes that are forever with us,
Yeah.
how they leave that kind of impression on ourselves, and kind of like the collective cultural knowledge that speaks to kind of the oneness and connectedness of the internet. So I guess then I'm very curious how your relationship with AI began to develop, and how you kind of view this kind of alternate digital being that we're starting to have conversations with.
The AI thing on my side started. I saw an exhibition, and I always say this. Trevor Paglen is my favorite artist, and he works with AI. So the first exhibition of AI that I ever saw in my life, it was one of Trevor Paglen, and it was like invisible images, and like he put like a whole data set like projected on the wall, and then like these prints of dreams that like the machine had, and I was just like, it blew my mind. I was just like, oh my god, the computer can talk, like, like I feel the computer now, like I can feel the computer. And it was just like it was like the soul of the computer trying to speak to you, like
Mm.
through art. So I was just like I don't know, I just lost it. And then I was obsessed with it, but I couldn't do anything. So I started like doing like videos about being a robot and like being a cyborg and like internet rituals and stuff, because I was just like, I know that maybe there's something inside the computer that can understand the outside. And then after I met Moises, and we were together at the pandemic, so he he comes from a like from more of that context. And then he just bought a class of like from Derrick Schultz, and then I was there, so I took it too. And I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe I have the opportunity to do this. And I made like this internet human project where I train and again with selfies with filters. So it was just like how I got into AI, then what I worked with AI, and then like it was connected to the previous subject of the like like growing with the perception and the image of you online, your digital persona. So yeah, that's how I got, and that's how it started.
I'd love to ask a bit of a follow-up question to that, because you spoke about like the soul of the machine, and do you believe that like the machine has a soul that humans are trying to flesh out and express, or is that just kind of like our own being and projecting like that interaction of ourselves into it?
Well, since I saw Toy Story, I think that everything is alive. Like I
Yeah.
haven't never like abandoned that idea, and I have like this little teddy bear that I always have since I was a girl, like a little girl, like 4 years old. And like I always thought that every time I like went out of the room, he was like alive. So I don't know. We have a Google Home, and I always like talk to him, and then we have conversations and stuff. And then when Moises is just like Google stop, but then I think like I wouldn't like someone like yelling at me like to me like that, and I'm like, don't be like that to Google. And his name is Stanley. So I think that you can try to make something that reflects you, like like your being, like when you train an AI. But I also would like to think would like to think that like something like Google can have like its own like it's um not independent, but it's like their own being without programming it. Like maybe it's gonna evolve, like somehow sometime. I don't know, that like that's how I feel. But yeah, that's like it's both. Hmm.
For me, like there's like this connection too with like when I was learning about contemporary art, because that was a whole different like understanding. Like I went to art school more for animation and moving film. Actually, my dad, since very young, was like, yes, you should work for Mickey. And I was like, okay, that's I can look at it through that lens. And then learning about contemporary art, like some of my influence were Mauricio Catalan, who works a lot in like physical sculpture, but it's also like absurdity, and Nam June Paik, who also works in physical spaces, but it has this more not soulful, but like about inner consciousness or something, meditation, or other ways of being through a machine, and like these forms or environments where like nature is in relationship to a machine. Yeah.
So maybe let's skip the crypto art NFT part of it, because I think the more interesting discussion here is environment in context and presentation of your work. So I would love to know perhaps like metaverse exhibits that you've done, or how you like to kind of show and share these works that you create.
So we had these 3 exhibits that maybe Moises can talk more in detail.
The pandemic was happening, and I think the metaverse kind of, when we started connecting and doing exhibitions, was during this time where we actually had Top Lab Mexico invite us to do a show in hubs, in Mozilla hubs. And at the time we were like, oh, what is that? And we go and we meet our now good friend and curator, Malitzin, and she actually shows up kind of as like this Pikachu, like from the future in this space. And she's like, come, check it out. And she's like, I built this, Fabiola could probably talk more about it, but it's like this industrial building that was used for something, but now it's just replicated in the VR space, and she curates that space for exhibition. So it was going to be the first AI art show that we had, and we actually had that show with Elio Santos, who is also a lot of in this Web3 space and working with AI art. And the show was called Maqui Naturalis. So kind of this made up word that we were all kind of brainstorming on and kind of connecting it between like machine and nature and immersion.
Because máquina.
It's like máquina. Yeah, I think it has like a very Latin kind of play there. And we actually just recently had this year the
last
show.
Year. It was like in December. Maqui Naturalis 2, and we actually showed a lot more. It was more of a group show. We had probably around 10 AI artists showing. And this was about NFTs, because the first one, there were not NFTs involved. And in the second one, everyone had their minted piece like in the exhibition. So yeah, it was like the same idea, but like with like a more Web3 concept. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think a wonderful transition to begin talking about kind of this new puzzle piece of NFTs and kind of what it meant to each of you to begin to have. A lot of people talk about it just as market structure, but I'm curious more in your minds where this is and what this means.
I think for me it's just become you literally are going into rabbit holes of situations where they play different meaningful things, whether the token makes you part of a group or you're using it to represent yourself, making even work about NFTs, this upcoming show of it being physical sculptures talking about owning a physical thing while you're having this token in your wallet. And I say it because we as we meet more people and like the different experiences that or ideas that everyone is having, it's having a lot of like short circuits, but in a good way. Like in some way, like we can actually have a conundrum and then learn from it. So we're actually working in an NFT collection. Fabiola, I know, released a recent one. It'd be cool for you to mention it. I really like that one. But the idea, for example, is that you can have an NFT that can get data from outside the chain, like live market data or weather data or emotional data, and have that reflect back into the NFT, or having interactive contracts where you can update the image. I think price is definitely a tricky art for everyone. And when you mention market structure or marketing in general? Like how do you like to move in that space? And everyone has a different strategy, but I like the word I just recently been trying to use. It's like price discovery, and like what does that mean for different aesthetics?
Right now, I'm working in this collection. Well, I finished it, but I'm minting it, and it's about this Mexican game that is called Loteria, and it's like bingo, but like different, like with like different cards of different things, like a frog and like a bell and stuff. So everyone says like the name, and like it has illustration. So I made like the whole deck, and like the things like the little sheets with the cards, and then I'm minting every card, and I'm minting also like the boards. So it's like it's a weird way to like bring something that like interpreting it. Oh, with it, I did it like everything with AI. So it was just like a really hard job. I actually like stopped doing it, like because it was so frustrating that I couldn't like bear to keep going. But then I was just like, it's just that I really need to do this. I need to finish this because this is part of my identity, like being Mexican, and I want to do this. So I was just like, no, I'm gonna make it like Mexican AI. Yeah, sure. And I finished it, and yeah, like it looks very similar, but you know that there's like some interpretation from the machine. Like if you say that it's from machine, it makes sense, but like yeah, like it has like this weird folkloric AI aesthetic. So yeah, like in my interpretation, in my own work, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I am frankly just obsessed with artists who are kind of taking these long-standing cultural traditions and kind of onboarding them and recreating them for this time. I think that's just incredibly interesting, and is also, you know, perhaps like the original memes, like the common cultural objects that bind us all. You know, I wanted to go back to Moises, and you know, I was very attracted to a piece you created, you know, the Arizona iced tea 99-cent stablecoin, which is a meme, frankly, I love because, you know, I grew up with that. And
Amazing.
yeah. So maybe just talk about that piece and that meme. And then I'm very interested in your thoughts on what it means to, you know, maybe like own a meme.
Actually, like I started minting it in Foundation, and Foundation wouldn't let me mint it for $1. Like it wouldn't let me do that price. And like I just thought, okay, you know, that's the platform I've been minting. I made the piece. That wasn't even a requirement, and so then I just kind of had to shift it into OpenSea, and but it became about that, you know, even this idea of like price discovery, where it was meaningful for me that it costed $1 at a time when stable coins were like crashing, and you know, we have this UST thing happening, and we have people memeing about the T just to bear through the what was happening, and like, you know, laugh if anything, and just find a connection. What does it mean to be related to the dollar, like $1? Like it means a lot to different people, and the piece itself, I think, was very like just trying to find a way to connect it back to my exploration and making like stock trading charts very aesthetic. I actually went to stock trading school for a year and a half, and I found it very emotionally like meaningful to like cry, laugh, and kind of like feel joy or doubt when looking at charts, because you know, you have so much invested in these graphs. Well, you know, you spend that elsewhere, but at some point you're kind of reaching back at these things and, you know, waiting for hope more than anything. But the piece itself was made with AI, and it's still it's still there. I actually thought it'd be, something that, I don't know if there's like a meme collection or some kind of meme AI, not AI, but like meme NFT space. I think I'd be love to join more people kind of doing group exhibitions with meme NFTs. Yeah.
You can create that community in on Lens protocol.
Yeah, that's we're really into Lens right now.
Yeah, it's
Tell
really
us
cool.
about Lens. Yeah.
Well, Lens, I actually wrote about Lens in the we are members of FWB, and right now I'm running for the TLDR, and one of the things that I like to do is like to see projects and like talk about them on FWB. Like usually it's like from inside, but then I don't know how. Oh yeah, I was in refraction though, and then they sent like to everyone like the opportunity to have your own handle on Lens, and I didn't know what that was. So I just started like digging in the theme, and like I was just like figuring out like how to use it, because it's like when you start using the internet like Facebook or something like that, you don't know anything like how it works. So you claim your handle when like if you are like on this um not it's like if you have like some like your wallet somewhere is like connected to Lens protocol because of the DAO you're in or something. So or you sign up before like some date that they put like so anyone could like have their Lens handle. So it's on Polygon, and you have like it's like a like first is the Lens friends, like you make your profile on Lens friends, and then you go evolving, because there's just like the profile, and then people can see your description, your profile picture, and you can put like a Polygon NFT. So that's why I was just like buying Polygon PFPs like 2 weeks ago, like from Thailand. NFT girl artists, like they're really cool, and I really love their art. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool, because you can put your NFT, you can, like meet people that are like from other DAOs, because like in Refraction DAO or like, I don't know, I joined the Discord, and then on Discord you can find like really interesting people that also have the Dotlands domain. Domain, yeah, it's a domain. I'm sorry if I didn't specify that before. It's like I don't know, mine is fabiolaio.eth. So on Lens is just like the same thing. And Tesos also like .tes. So it's really interesting, and I really loved it. And I was pushing Moises to get one. And yeah, he did. We don't know how, but he was um lucky enough to be on there, like to claim his handle. And so it's like this decentralized social media, and you post everything you post. It's like a transaction on your wallet. And if you post something, like if you make a community and you put like a picture for the community, it's minted. So you have it like an NFT. And
Hmm.
it's just like, I don't know, I think it's fascinating. And like like it's a whole new way to experience social media. And well, yeah, you can create content, and mostly communities and posts that can be mirrored. And then I'm sorry, that's Lenster. And yeah, it's Lens Friends and then Lenster, and then there's apps that you can um, be like with your lens, with the Lens protocol, like like interacting with other um like ecosystems or something like there. I haven't explored the app like quite deep, but yeah, that's oh, they have a Lens tube, like instead of YouTube is Lens tube, and like it's crazy. I loved it. And And well, I don't know, Moises, when he discovered it, he was just like, oh my God, this is like when YouTube started. So I like, you want to
Yeah.
talk about your experience with LensTube?
No, totally. And I think you, I think it's even back to when I first got like started looking at YouTube, in just very young, and then now going into something like Facebook or Instagram, this feels new in that way. Like we're still learning what like certain buttons are, or why are people here, or who is here, and even creating exhibitions there or collections for it, and having that community have so many intersections in relationship with each other, because you already know they understand so much about Web3 or all this context, and then maybe you connect on AI art, like this group that we have, but also then the lens tube aspect of it. I think it just shows where it's headed, like where like this general direction of the technology. And I guess that's something in general, is that the technology seems is enabling us to explore so many variations of just communicating and working with each other in creative ways, transactional ways, that it's very, very exciting. It almost just feels like it's evolving every day.
A couple things there. The CTO at the museum loves Lens, so that's kind of why I asked. I haven't dived in yet. He loves it. And I think kind of, we've seen this again and again in parallel, like a new technology develops, and then it's truly like the creative experimental people that begin to flock and aggregate and create that value. And this was obviously the same for NFTs. Everybody really thought NFTs would be born of like gaming applications, but frankly, it was the arts. It was the art that really like was inspiring people, where we were seeing the innovation first. And then and of course the cycles are happening quicker. The artists go something, they create something valuable, and then there's just like a flood of commercialization. So to like be there first in that experimental phase is always like such a joy and such a privilege. And it is, it's an interesting world, but it gives me like faith and hope that people in more of like these decentralized things where things are popping up all the time, people can be more fluid, and we can begin to break away from more of like the entrenched Web 2 networks, obviously like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I want to kind of go back and talk about your experiences, in DAOs, and how you found that.
Yeah, I think that also is like entangled in like the meaning of a token or the meaning of an NFT, because at first it was literally, we were in Art Basel, and my good friend Manny, who also is in the Web3 space, he suggested like, hey, there's this Azealia Banks concert with Erica Badu DJing, you guys should come. And we all wanted to hang out, and
that was a fun party.
Yeah, that was
I was there. That was a really fun party.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. And it was totally worth the token price at the time, which the price for FWB at that party was like going to a real concert, and it was cool to feel, I guess, that I could stake, hundreds of dollars, and I still own the hundreds of dollars of that experience without having to, fully give in this ticket. And so I think from the get-go, it was very interesting to experience that and be like, oh, I just walked into this space of hundreds of people, and they all are going to understand so much. Like there's so much depth that you can connect with someone when it's like a DAO party, I guess, or like a DAO or exhibit organization get together. And then, Fabiola, I would say, you've been diving even deeper in that space. So, yeah.
Well, after we went to the party of FWB, we got an email, and it was just like claim your pop, and I was like, what's that? So I was just like like researching about like what a pop was, because I didn't know if they were gonna scam me, you know. So I was just like, I'm not gonna click any link. I'm just gonna see what it is. And okay, so it was like the pop of the party, but I don't know. I switched it with Moises' friend for another pop, and it was just like so confusing. And I was just like, oh no, like what am I doing, you know? And then we got like another email like, oh, if you wanna join and be a local member, you just need to have like the same amount of tokens that we had to go to the party. So I was just like, oh, let's apply. And then we applied, and like 1 month later, I got in. And I was just like, I didn't know how to use Discord. I didn't know, like, because I was just like refusing to use Discord, because I was just like, there's so many things to do, and like so many apps and in like UIs that I need to like learn to do, like to use. And I was just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do anything. So then I was just like, in on Discord, and I was just like, okay, what is this? So I started like looking at everything before I learned the concept of DAO, but I couldn't like really understand it. So that was my first experience with a DAO. And like I don't know, like Moises then joined the DAO also, and we were like, okay, so what's next? And then we started like um I there was like these city keys that they gave you money, so you could make an event, in this case of FWB. And so we applied and we got it, like here in Miami Beach, like to do an FWB city key. So it was really interesting, because we had like all the possibilities of doing an event here, but like it was just like a Web3 event, like we knew what we wanted to do, but like it was like a different type of like interacting with people here that we didn't know. And like maybe FWB members are gonna come or maybe not, because it wasn't like at the Bitcoin conference week. So it was just like, I don't know, like that was also like a really cool experience, and Moises was just like so into it. um well, I'm gonna let Moises talk about it, because this comes from the museum that he was working in like 2 years ago. So like for all the organization. So I don't know if well, just please.
Well, well, I mean, I guess one aspect of DAOs that I find interesting is that they work for the culture that's in the community that's around them and supporting them. And I used to work at a museum, the ICA Miami, and it's just like a similar relationship that museum has to have to the city, the DAO has to the decentralized community. And so we're more active in the DAOs and kind of trying to give back to the voice chat channels that are there. You meet people all over the world that you can connect with, and I think start building together. So there's a lot of um, these side effects by just seeing who's willing to show up and just share, connect. And I think it's kind of slowly evolving where like now we invite other people to Lens Tube or Lens Friends, and you're part of a DAO, but then you're kind of also part of like this mesh network of how do you build in these things and create value. And it's been pretty great applying to the grants. We actually just applied to another one, and then there's also FWB Fest coming up, which we actually won't be attending, but just to see DAOs kind of think about even larger events and what hundreds or thousands of people at that point that are connected in this space. And it's just super interesting. I think I'm like literally living like this Web 2.5 like jump right now into the space and trying to go full time in both ways. We're definitely keep doing these AI art NFTs and shows in the metaverse, but also like working in the space in like the day to day and just trying to connect it all.
I would love to just give you any last words that you have, and please let people know where they can find you and your work and anything you might want to share.
Well, thanks for inviting us. Thanks for the wonderful conversation. We could talk about this like for hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, my all my handles of my social media, my NFTs are Fabiola Larios and
Yeah, no, thank you for having us. My socials are Moises Sanabria, and my website is moises.tech. My GitHub and all of my handles in general on like the Ethereum or any network are Moises Tech. And yeah, I guess just last words is that we're actually exploring now, like we're at the cutting edge of kind of memes and AI and metaverse space. Like really excited to work both in the IRL, showing artworks made with new tools like DALL-E and latent diffusion, and also how does that relate to how we've been talking about the internet and exposing it in the physical world and the digital space. So yeah, thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you both. Keep up the awesome work. I'm Colborn. This is the DMINTI and Mocha podcast, and we will see you next time.
Breaking news.